Anyway, man, Atlanta. I want to talk about Atlanta for a minute and get into Atlanta before I break the game down on today's show, because this kind of ties in with today's lesson on the show about the vibe in Atlanta. Now, Atlanta, a lot of folks were emailing me, like, what do you think about Atlanta? How do you think Atlanta has changed since you've been there last? The last time I was in Atlanta was about 10 years ago. And I love Atlanta. One thing about Atlanta, man, that Southern hospitality has not changed. Very good, positive people down there in Atlanta, and I love that. I've always loved that about Atlanta. But Atlanta has changed, though, man. Atlanta is not the Atlanta that I knew 10 years ago. It's a whole different city, man. Again, I haven't really kicked it in Atlanta in like 10 years, and that shit has changed, dude. When I got there, you know, it was kind of cold, and I had to go find like a coat and sweater. That's another good thing about Atlanta too, man. You get some fly ass gear down in Atlanta, man. Nigga can get suited and booted in Atlanta. Atlanta is really, really, really good up on their fashion game. But I hit up all the malls. I went to South DeKalb Mall. Then I went to Greenbrier Mall. And this one thing I noticed in the malls, man, a lot of dudes out there selling their mixtapes. I had a whole bunch of cats. What up, y'all? They got their mixtape, man. If I ain't fire, I'm like, what the fuck? What did you say? I couldn't understand nothing you said. I got a lot of that, especially at Greenbrier Mall. South DeKalb was cool. Then we went to Lenox Square Mall. Lenox Square, back in the day, it would be like a modeling contest up there, man. You would go to Lenox Square Mall and there would be just dimes, model chicks all over that place. I went up there, man. Number one, they didn't really have any fly gear up there that I was looking for. I was looking for some fly shit to wear, some warm shit, and I don't know where all the fly shit is. Another thing, man, there's a lot of gay dudes at the goddamn Lenox Square. Lenox Square must be the gay dude hangout. There was nothing but gay dudes up there. And not to knock you gay dudes, I know y'all need somewhere to hang out and everything. I know y'all need a place to kick it and all that, but it was just unusual. It was an unusual amount of gay dudes. It was like even the cats working in the mall. I'm like, look, I'm trying to find a store with whoop, and they turn around, their eyebrows arched, motherfuckers walking around working in the mall with their stomach out. It's crazy.
I used to think that I wasn't fine enough.
There was a lot of that
and I used to think
at the Lenox Square Mall.
I wasn't wild enough.
Lots of that at the Lenox Square Mall. And again, I'm not knocking that if that's what you do, but it just took me by surprise. There were hardly any women up there. Not that I was looking for women, but I'm just used to, like, when I'm shopping, you know, you see a couple of dimes walk by. Well, that's cool in the gang. There's a bunch of dudes walking around in House of Darion jeans and sandals and toe rings and purses. Have things changed? And another thing, man, underground Atlanta, that shit has really changed. Man, I was down at the underground, and Michelle straight from the A, she said, don't call it the underground, it's called underground. She's so prim and proper. What's up, Michelle? But I was down at the underground area, 5 Points, and motherfuckers out there are starving, man. It was kind of sad being out there. Over in the underground part, man, I saw a bunch of young crackheads. I saw like girls 17, 18 years old looking like they're on the pipe. I mean, back in the days, cats be out there selling clothes, selling incense, selling oil. Man, everywhere I went around the underground area, cats walking up to me, hey man, want to buy some weed? I mean, cats don't even know how to be slick with their dope slanging. Yo man, you want to buy? Yo man, I got some sherm. Yo man, I got the hair on. Yo man, I got some weed. Cats just blatantly walking up trying to sell weed. I mean, these cats don't know if I'm an undercover cop or anything. And I see why a lot of cats were getting arrested, because I notice all over town, you see cats getting hemmed up. You see cop cars pulling cats over. It's real sad. It got real sad down there, man. I was in a Waffle House over there on top of Underground. You know, there's a little Waffle House in the cut. And I was over there eating, getting my waffle on. And the dude walked in while I'm eating. Hey, man, I got you. You need to buy a dime bag. I mean, them niggas are thirsty and hungry down there. Like, everybody in that area is trying to slang. It was kind of sad, man. There was a lot of homeless dudes begging around Peachtree. That shit, it wasn't like that 10 years ago, man. I don't know what happened to Atlanta as far as that, dude. So that was one of the disheartening things about it. Now, the clubs in Atlanta were alright. We went to a couple of clubs out there. What's up, Malcolm? Malcolm is one of the promoters, and he's a listener of the show. He invited us to this club called Via in Buckhead, and that was a real nice club. And if you guys out there in Atlanta, you guys need to hit up Via. I think it was a Tuesday night. It was real nice. It was a Tuesday or when? I think it was a Tuesday night. Club Via in Buckhead. Very nice spot. It's like a little bar converted into a club, bar / restaurant. It was nice, kind of upscale. It was pretty cool. And there was another spot we went to called Pure. We went there a few nights afterwards. It was something, Mary J. Blige was up there. They were broadcasting live on the radio. And it wasn't a hell of a big crowd. And that's the thing about Atlanta. The nightlife scene is kind of dead out there. The whole nightlife scene is it's kind of so-so out there. It wasn't like back in the day, it would be jumping. But in this event that we went to at Pure, they were broadcasting it on the radio, like live. Mary J was there, and it was still kind of dry inside. I was surprised people, the amount of people came to my seminar. I'm glad people came out, but people came from different cities, though. Not only Atlanta, people came from Atlanta. There was some cats came over from Alabama. Some cats came over from South Carolina. And I appreciate that. But the nightlife, people aren't just going out in Atlanta like they used to. I don't know if it's because of the wintertime. I don't know if it's because of the election or the economy. But the nightlife was kind of dead to a certain degree, except them goddamn strip joints. You know, you drive around Atlanta and it looks dead as hell. We drove by, I think it was Onyx, some shit like that, over by Chester Bridge Road. We drove by this place called Onyx. It was like a gentleman's club. That shit looked like early voting. It was so many, it was cars on top of cars in there. I mean, that's another thing. The tricking in Atlanta has gotten way out of hand. These cats are getting caught up in that trick bag very heavily. These dudes be tricking like it's the Olympics. And that's the thing. A lot of cats, they were like, we asked them, what's going on, man? What's happening around town? They were like, man, you know, ain't shit happening. We're going to the strip joint, though. You can go to this strip. I don't really fuck with strip joints, man. That's not my cup of tea. And that's all a lot of the cats in ATL was talking about, hitting up the strip joints. That shit don't count. You go to a strip joint when nothing else is happening in your life. And if ain't nothing happening in your life, you make something happen in your life. With strip clubs, that's just like throwing in the towel to me. I got to be real bored to go up in a goddamn strip joint. That's just never been my cup of tea at all. But the thing about Atlanta, man, because people do put a lot of extras on Atlanta, and Atlanta's a fly city, man. I'm not shitting on Atlanta. I love Atlanta. But the thing is, they make it seem like, well, man, it's like 10 to 1 women out there. But the thing is, it's only 10% dimes in Atlanta. Let's keep it 100. There's some cute women out there, but it's really 10% dimes, and the rest of the women are average. Atlanta's a city full of average women. Average looking women. Some of them are cooler than others. You got a lot of average women, and you have a high percentage of ugly ass women with banging bodies. We saw that a lot in Atlanta. You have women out here with bodies that's off the chain and faces that look like they've been beat with a chain. And then the rest of them are just all around fugly. You know, face fucked up, body fucked up, pudgy. But you have those 10% dimes. And the funny thing is, it's a city full of average chicks who act like they're dimes. That's a funny thing that we saw around town. We go to these clubs, and a lot of the average women, a lot of the hideous women with the banging bodies were acting flyer than what they really were. And that was kind of silly looking. You sisters in Atlanta got to get off that shit. That kind of looks corny. Now, what's funny, the women who are very cooperative and the women down there that were really, really banging, truth be told, the white broads in Atlanta, the white broads down there got banging ass bodies, and they have cooperative attitudes. And I met a lot of, fly sisters. I met a lot of fly white chicks. I met a lot of fly Latina chicks. I met some chick from, where the fuck was she from? Somewhere in South America, fly than a motherfucker. She told me, I forgot what it was, but she was cooperating like a mug. A lot of fly Ethiopian chicks cooperating. Those are the ones that are cooperating heavily. Dudes aren't even spitting at them. Dudes are so scared to spit at them. Dudes are investing all their stock into the average women or the women with the banging bodies. Them white bras in Atlanta, thick than a motherfucker. Cooperating, good game. Choosing heavy. And the mixed ones too. But the thing is, a lot of the sisters down there be on this fake diva shit that I noticed. Because I was out with a lot of my friends, and my friends would just try to speak to some of these females, and the females were kind of acting flyer than what they really were. And it kind of looked silly. The partners weren't really tripping on them, but it was just funny to see that. And again, a lot of these women, man, the dimes, because again, I've always said that the dime women are very easy to get at. The dimes will test you because there's so many dudes out there who are tricking. Women test a dude to see if she can put him in the trick bag, because a lot of women, they do get tired of the trick shit. Some women do. Some women do want a man who's somewhat of a challenge. So they kind of test dudes to see if they can put him in the trick bag. And I give you an example. This one girl was talking to me at this club. Very attractive female. Very tight young lady. And I can tell when a female starts testing or campaigning for something, if it's a test or if she's on some don't give a fuck shit. There are a lot of girls who go to clubs and they'll start begging for drinks because these women, that's all they're there for. They're there to just get drinks and go home to their boyfriends or their husbands. So women like this are very bold. They have this I don't give a damn attitude. They'll walk up, so you gonna buy me and my friend a drink? Okay. You ain't? Okay, bye. They have that mentality. They don't care about being perceived as low budget or anything because they got a dude at home, so they're not tripping. But there are other women who do it in a subtle way just to test you. And this woman, she was talking to me, and she was like, oh, well, I just got here, and I got to go get a drink. I'm about to go over to the bar. And then she paused to kind of see what I would say, because she knows that the average dude with that trick mentality will be on some shit like, oh, you about to go to the bar? Well, what you drinking? That's what the average trick dude would do. Oh, you going to the bar? No need to go. I'll go for you. What you drinking? What your friend drinking? She paused to see if I would do that. So she was like, well, I'm going to the bar. Just got here. I haven't had anything to drink. I'm about to go to the bar. And I was like, well, go ahead and do what you do. And I'm going to be right here. And I let her go do what the hell she do. And later on that night, she found me and resumed the conversation. And she's been cooperating. I mean, women have tried this in L.A. too. That's not indicative of Atlanta. I've had a woman try that bullshit in L.A. years ago. She was like, well, I'm going to the bar to get a drink. You want to come over there with me? No, I'm fine. Go ahead and make it do what it do. And the fact that I can turn it down and not get in that trick bag that they try to put you into, you garner a certain level of respect. And the woman out here in LA who tried that, I ended up kicking it with this woman for a little while. Because I didn't fall for the little test that she tried to throw. Again, fellas, women try to test you a lot of times to put you in a trick bag. When you meet them, they're like, you're going to have to take me on a date. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have to take you on a date. I got to get to know you. Sidestep that trick bag. And this is a very funny thing that happens in LA. When you go to the clubs in LA and you leave the club, and if you're talking to a girl, they have these flower ladies and flower dudes who will walk up to you. They sell flowers outside the club, and they'll try to front you off in front of the girl. And they try to put dudes on the spot. They're like, hey, you want to buy this young lady a flower? And you don't want to seem like an asshole and be like, no. So a lot of dudes just buy a flower for the girl to save face. They would try to pull that shit on me all the time. I come out the club talking to a female, and they'll be like, you want to buy her a flower? I'm like, well, no, not yet, because I'm just getting to know her. Let me get to know her, and I'll holler back at you. Some real slick fly Mac shit. The women didn't know what to say behind that. They were like, damn, that nigga's tight. The woman I'm spitting at had to pop their collar. But you can't fall into that trick bag. Always sidestep the trick bag, fellas. Always sidestep that trick bag. But like I said, man, about Atlanta, you have a bunch of females, man, a lot of sisters down there on that fake wannabe diva shit. And I'm trying to play the devil's advocate for a minute to understand why the tricking is so bad down there in Atlanta. I'm going to play the devil's advocate. I'm going to try to look at it from the trick's eyes for a minute. I can kind of understand to a very small degree, because when you go to square clubs out there in Atlanta, you have a bunch of women out there being fake, acting flyer than what they really are. Some of them are very average. A lot of those weave, number 2 Yaki weave wearing chicks, those are the main ones who act fly than what they are, with the whole fake diva attitude. So you have these women being fake in the club, and guys have to buy them drinks, and the women are still acting fake and acting extra fly, trying to be socialite and all this old shit, and they ain't got no money. You're trying to be a socialite, and at your house you got a refrigerator full of Sunny Delight, broke than a motherfucker. So a lot of guys think, well, damn, instead of me dealing with these square broads at these square clubs acting fake, I might as well go to a strip joint and have that female acting fake, at least showing me her ass. Instead of me buying drinks, I just give her a handful of wands. So I think that's the mentality of a lot of guys. They're like, well, look, if I'm going to deal with somebody fake, at least let me see some butt cheeks if we're going to be fake. And I can understand that to a certain degree, but fuck that. As the true to the game player, I would say don't deal with anything fake. Never invest in a lie. I want you guys to write that down and put that on your refrigerator. Never invest in a lie. Because when you invest in a lie, you never get a payoff. You never get a sufficient payoff. And if your payoff is some half-ass sexual gratification that you're really not getting, you're really getting ego gratification, because you're in these clubs throwing up all your paper, and basically you're getting your ego satisfied, because you're not really getting sexual gratification. You're getting a woman telling you how fly you are, and that's what these guys are paying for. They're paying for the woman to stroke their ego. You're paying for the woman to act like she's into you, and that's a cop-out. You put yourself in a trick bag. Never invest in a lie. That's a useless investment. Never invest in a lie. If all you cats out there would change your mentality, the women will change their mentality. If you guys step your game up, the women will step their game up. Especially down there. There's too many women down there for you guys to be allowing yourself to be putting these trick bags down there in Atlanta. Way too many women, and the dimes are too easy to get. I have dimes from Atlanta calling me now. I'm back home. And they still calling. It's not that hard. I'm like, what are these guys doing? But the thing is, when you step into a situation and you have a fresh perspective, you deal with things differently. And I want to give you guys that fresh perspective. Never invest in a lie. Hold out. Step your game up. Don't put yourself in the trick bag. Don't allow anybody to put you in the trick bag. That's been today's episode of the Mac Lesson.